What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we are talking about my favorite 4 or 5 summertime pond fishing or shore fishing baits. Let's go. Summertime. It's actually evening time. It's finally nice out. You know, these dog days of summer can be brutal on the body, brutal on the mental game as you're trying to catch fish. But if you guys have been following along with the channel, you know that recently I did some of my favorite baits to catch them during the heat. Well, today we're talking about shore fishing. Same type of thing, but for pond fishermen and bank fishermen. You can see right here, I got my good old Plano. That is my pond fishing. Got some topwater, some ploppers, some frogs, some swim baits, some glide baits, chatter baits, underspins, jigs, shaky heads. What else we got in here? Some Nico rigs, some bluegill baits. These all come into play, but right now it's hot out. There's typically a lot of grass, so I'm gonna kind of limit this stuff down for you. You know, this was kind of a hard video to limit down to 4 or 5 baits, but I did. You know, right now, this time of the year, everything's about grass. Shoreline, you bank fishermen, this all applies to you too. These fish are gonna get up super shallow, get real deep into that thick, heavy stuff. So as I went through my pond fishing stuff, I was kind of thinking, how am I gonna limit this to 4 or 5 baits? You know, typically when you're hoofing it, when you're walking the bank, you can't carry a ton of gear, right? You typically have a backpack and you have 2 to 4 rods. So when I was doing this video, I was thinking, cat's taking a pee. I was thinking 4 baits. So to start it off, I'm going with a frog. You know, summertime fishing, grass fishing, a frog is hands down my favorite bait, especially as they come in shallow and you're trying to get them out of that thick stuff. This is that little Spro poppin' frog. I'll link some of my favorite frogs down below in the video description, but this little guy right here, it's a cool little bait. Power on power, you're talking 50, 60, 65 pound braid, straight braid, and you're getting those fish out of the heavy cover. You know, a frog is awesome. Again, this time of the year, it's all about that grass. I explained that in that heat video I shot last week. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll link that up above and down below. But pond fishermen, you're stuck to the bank, right? So unless you're fishing the deepest part of the pond, typically around the dam, you're gonna be faced with a lot of grass, a lot of surface vegetation. So a frog, work it fast, work it slow, totally up to you. But this little Spro poppin' frog is an awesome bait to mimic bluegill. So that's why I went with this one. Again, walk it real, twitch, 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 pause, twitch, 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 pause. You get to a clear area, bloop it. You know, a lot of times, especially ponds, the water is going to be fairly clear. You know, you can get away with a straight braid, but primarily those big bass in these ponds are feeding on bluegill. So that's why I went with this little, I believe this color is called Leopard. Don't quote me on it. Again, I'll link it down below. But it's kind of got some of that orange kind of bluegill color to it, maybe some baby bass color to it. But I've had a lot of luck in ponds, especially with this guy right here. Again, straight braid, but the water is clear. Typically, for the most part, the ponds that I'm fishing, hopefully the ponds that you're fishing, aren't pressured as often or as much as, let's say, like, you know, a tournament lake, Lake Chickamauga, the TVA, Clear Lake, Delta, that sort of stuff. You know, ponds typically, golf course ponds if you have permission, private ponds, park ponds, a lot of that, unless you're a trout fisherman, a lot of those ponds don't get a lot of pressure for bass. So you can get away with throwing the heavy braid, especially in that grass. That leads me to my next bait. This guy right here. Now again, I'm thinking summertime, I'm thinking hot, bluegill. This is a California Swim Jig. Hold it up there for you. California Swim Jig, got that no jack hook, straight braid, And that's a little bluegill paddle tail swim bait. Again, I'm going bait fish. I'm going bluegill, and I'm gonna throw this stuff into the thickest grass. I talked about this in my last heat fishing video, you know, how to catch bass in the heat. Hey cicadas, you wanna quiet down a little bit? Anyways, you can throw this bait right into the thick, thank you. You can throw this bait right into the thickest of grass patches and reel it right through. If you get hung up, just pop it. But again, you're gonna get that reaction bite of those bass as that swim jig pops through that grass and breaks free, those fish are just gonna react. You know, this California swim jig, we've talked about it for years. Matt actually helped design it. But it works so well. You shore fishermen, say you're fishing around cattails or tules, reeds, bulrushes, that sort of stuff. You can fire this thing in, like I said, straight braid and reel it right through the grass. Typically I will go with a 1/2 ounce. I can go with a 3/4 ounce if I'm not getting through the stuff. But this thing is awesome. Again, just reel it right through the grass. If you get hung up, pop it. But ponds, most of the ponds that I fish, especially in the summertime, you have ticks and you have a lot of grass. So make sure you wear long pants. But in the grass, make sure you have a bait that you can pop free of that stuff and fish right through it. So a frog and a swim jig. Typically, when I'm fishing this swim jig, I'm gonna fire this out and I'm gonna swim it right over the tops of the grass. So right here, I have some surface grass. I can bust through it, but as I come through it, it's gonna drop down 6 to 8 inches and I can reel it right through the tops and through that sparse grass up on top. I'm not gonna throw this right into the cheese per se, like where I would the frog, but looking for those little lanes, just reeling this right through. So much fun catching them on this thing. Again, it's power on power. If you need to, you can go with fluorocarbon, but I really love throwing this thing on straight braid. Like I said, it just gets bit because you're throwing this bait into an area where those fish aren't used to seeing a little swim jig. I shouldn't even say little, because that's actually a 3.8 size. That's actually a Big Bite Baits Pro Swimmer. Pond guys, go inexpensive, go cheap. If you're throwing a Cinco, you know, or a stick bait, go with the Yum Dinger or something that saves some money, because pond fishing, it's all about fun. It's all about catching fish, and you don't need to break the bank. So again, I'll link some of my favorite inexpensive baits, but this guy right here is a must. That's my two kind of, I won't even say power fishing, but my reactive fishing baits. The next bait that I always have tied on, I limited this to 4 rods, because that's typically the most you really want to carry when you're walking the bank. You don't need to have a ton of gear, but this one was kind of hard. I didn't know, just kind of reflecting on some of my fish catches and walking the bank. It was hard, tough to limit it, but I went with Texas Rig Creature Bait. This guy right here, this color is really important. It's a green pumpkin, and I actually have it in both of the finesse baits I brought down. It's green pumpkin on top and kind of like that Junebug color on the bottom. So you get the best of both worlds. Like I said, ponds, it's typically clearer water, a lot of grass up shallow, filtering that water. So you have your kind of like, I don't know, green pumpkin, black flake, and then on the back side you have that lighter Junebug color. You know, that is a must. If you guys have watched our summertime videos in the past, Junebug is an awesome color, but especially fishing ponds, I like to go natural as possible. Even the frogs, I'm going some kind of bluegill pattern, some kind of baby bass pattern, swim jig bluegill pattern. Same thing with the Texas Rig baits. Now I went, that is a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight with a jungle hook on there, again, straight braid, you can get away with throwing heavy fluorocarbon. I just like something that gets through that grass. But this is actually, I haven't even said the bait yet. This is the man bear pig. Now you can go with a Zoom brush hog, you can go with your favorite creature baits, but definitely go with a Texas rigged weedless bait. Again, you're gonna be fishing this through the grass. Now this you're gonna fish slower. Let it hit, just kind of lift up, pop it, let it fall. Let those appendages, let those tentacles do the work. As it's falling, that thing's flapping all over the place. But again, if you get hung up with that braid, with that Texas rigged pegged weight, you can clear yourself that bait free of the grass and let it fall and get those reactive bites. So, a Texas rig, your favorite creature style bait is a must. Go with the Zoom brush hog, go with that man bear pig. Again, I'll link my favorite colors down below in the video description, but that is an awesome 1, 2, 3 punch. Now, if you really have to go finesse, you know, this one I was thinking about too. It's like, do I go with a weightless stick bait? Do I go with a Nico rig? Do I go with you know, something that's more subtle? But I really kept going back to the shaky head. Again, it's going to be a weedless bait. Okay, weedless bait. I'm not throwing my finesse stuff on braid. That's going to be fluorocarbon, but I have that paired up with a 1/4 ounce shaky head, and that is the T-Mac worm. You guys know how much we love the T-Mac. This is actually called Bama Bug. This is a great color. Again, going with that real natural kind of green pumpkin black flake on the bottom, and then look at the back, the bottom, Junebug. So you get the best of both worlds. You get kind of that summer bright, just Junebug color that fish just love to eat, and you get that that real natural top. So you don't have to really overpower them with color. Again, those pond fish don't need a lot of bright baits, but trying to figure out, do I go Cinco? Do I go with a weightless stick bait? Do I go, you know, I really wanted to simplify this for you, and I think the best bet is going to be the shaky head. One, you can fish it faster. You know, it's more reactive. You throw out a Cinco or a stick bait, you just let it fall. You fish it in the holes of the grass. This, you can actually reel it up over the grass, drop it in, and fish quicker. Get down quicker. And again, it's weedless, so you don't have to be so careful with your casts. Again, you want to pick your casts, right? You want to pick the lanes along the grass line, but you don't have to be as delicate or as slow like you would if you were throwing a Cinco. So again, throw it out there, let it fall. You get hung up, pop it loose, let it fall. 9 times out of 10, that's when you're gonna get your bites. So summertime pond fishing, summertime bank fishermen, you guys, go out in the evening after you get off work. It's a beautiful evening tonight. Go out, walk the shoreline, and take these 4 baits with you. Again, I have so much confidence in these 4 baits. I'll link them down below. But a shaky head, a Texas rig creature bait, that swim jig, and a frog. Those 4 baits, if you can't catch them on that, it's time to go to a different pond, because those are fish catching baits. So down below, like I said, I will link my favorite setups. You know, pond fishing, you don't have to break the bank. You know, you could be, I mean, this rod right here is a $49 rod. You know, you don't have to use the most expensive equipment. It's all about having fun. It's all about catching bass, and these baits will catch them. Again, I'll link all my favorite products down below in the video description, the baits, the gear, the line, all that stuff. But don't be overwhelmed. If you don't have a boat this time of the year, go out, walk the shore of your local ponds, and catch some fish. Remember, don't trespass. Get those permission slips. Keep them on you in case you get stopped by the warden. That way They know that you have a right to be there, permission to be there, but go out, walk the shoreline, and catch some fish this summertime. As always, guys, we appreciate you. If you like this video, thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. We do a lot of videos a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a bunch of videos in between. Again, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.